I'm going to say what's going on to everyone, man. How are you doing today? What's going on out there? Man, I tell you, 2 weeks just flew by. And before you knew it, we were here again. And I'm excited about what's going on. I'm excited about everything that's happening out there in this community right now as it relates to mentoring. And that's our focus. Some of you all said, let's come back again with that mentoring conversation and just hear that mentoring conversation from a Black male perspective, and in particular from the organization that impact our community. So I'm excited to have the brothers back again and our co-hosts, and I'm gonna bring everybody on. What's happening, brothers? How you all doing today? What's going on? Talk to me out there.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning.
Top of the morning, doing great.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Man, this is awesome, man. Just to have Black men to join together at the table, man, and be able to have these critical conversations when we're talking about, African American men, and we're talking about our young African American young men, and all these things that's happening in the world. I know that the news would have us to believe that all this doom and gloom in our communities, but I believe that everything that actually we have more great things going on than what the news tries to broadcast out there. So, man, I'm looking forward to this conversation today. Just to do a quick introductions. Everybody know our co-host, man. T-Bird, what's happening with you today, man? You good?
I'm good. I'll keep it real brief, but I enter Iota land today. 28 years ago, May 1st at 5:22.
All right.
That's it. Happy anniversary to you, man. And,
thank you.
And you, how many line brothers did you have?
It was 6 of us.
6 of you all. All right. Did everybody cross? Because it was a crazier time back then, so
we all crossed.
All right, good deal. It was a little bit different back then.
You know what? It was, and I will say, with me wrestling, I had that mentality that I'm not gonna be broken. And another part of me was like, we can't be out all night. We all got school, whatever. So at some point in time, this is gonna end. So that was my mentality.
I tell you, man. It was a lot of foolishness going on back in that day.
Yes. So you was hiding out.
Brother T. Patrick, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, I can't complain. Brother Berg, happy anniversary. 28 years. That's I hit 20 I think this year. So that's all right. 28 years, man. I salute
you.
Hey, but wow. No, not much going on, man. Same old, still on this journey. I don't have any additional weight to report at this particular point, right? But I did maintain. I had a nice, a very long cheat weekend last weekend where I ate whatever I wanted and came back weighing the same. So that's a win.
That's a win. That's a win for sure. Now we got 2 great brothers from Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the oldest Greek Black fraternity that exists out of the Divine Nine. So I want to welcome again Brother Aaron Willis and Brother Kenyon Morrison to the table. Brothers, how you all doing today, man?
Doing all right, man. Blessed and happy to be here. And Brother Patrick, I'm telling you, talking about your weight loss journey did inspire me because believe it or not, I'm actually on one myself. I'm proud to say, man, that 5 times in April, I went on 24-hour fast. So definitely trying to get the discipline thing back in order, man. So happy about that and making that transition to other aspects of life,
That's it. Hey, so tell us real quick, how did that impact you when you did those fasts? Did that help? What was the purpose of it?
You know what, man? It's really just to get discipline back in order, and then, like I said, I'm back on a journey of trying to, just maintain fitness myself. Okay. And what's interesting about it, man, it's like if you can control the urge such as eating food, it's just amazing what else you can control. And I'm telling you, bro, when I didn't eat, I would drink water, of course, or I'd drink liquids. I could hear a pin drop, man. I could hear anything at that time. It's like my focus is like razor sharp.
That's it, man. I know
that's good.
Yeah, I know that fasting has a lot of benefits, and for me, fasting has that spiritual benefit, man. It is about
aspect,
that flesh, man. That flesh will get us every time, won't it?
Yes.
I'm telling you, man. Brother Morrison, what's going on, man? I know you're a man that's going places right now, literally. So, man, we're happy that you're joining us today.
Yeah, I'm doing great, gentlemen. Actually, 3 days ago, I just celebrated 25 years in the fraternity.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm proud of that. I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here. I don't know if there is a question, but I'm here, man. A lot of good things is going on. God is blessing. Space of opportunity.
How many was on your line, Brother Morrison?
Four. We were all freshmen. Yes, sir.
What'd you cross?
Epsilon Psi chapter of University of Missouri Rolla, now Missouri Science and Technology.
Okay.
My father also crossed the same chapter back in '68, so I'm a double legacy.
That's it. That's it.
Shine on y'all, you know.
Okay.
You know, since we checking letters, you know what I mean?
So, I know your heart was really blue and white, but you had to do it because Daddy wasn't gonna pay for nothing else. So you know, but
son, you better do this.
Hey, we have corrected many a Kappa and Q. So please, that's the light of the world.
That's it. And man, I got my brothers, man. My brothers in blue and white, the greatest. Let me withdraw my. I got my
little bias.
My technician over here looking at me. Don't you go there? So, but the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma, Dr. Gregory A. Wilson and Brother Larry A. Hemingway. What's going on this morning? How we doing today, brothers?
Oh man, doing great.
Good deal. So how things going with you all? I know with one in St. Louis, one in Springfield, everything well in the communities?
Everything's going well in the community, as well as can be expected, should I say.
All right.
Everybody's trying to adjust to what's going on.
Good deal.
I gotta say to the rest of the brothers that are on here, y'all making me feel real old. Because
don't do it to him, Brother Wilson. Don't do it to him. I knew you was gonna tell him about it.
Last Saturday was 40 years for me.
Oh, wow.
Amen. That's wisdom right there.
Yeah.
And you crossed where, Brother Wilson? I know, but I want to make
the
sure.
University of Kansas, Zeta Omicron chapter. SS Nuwani, 6 strong brothers.
6 strong brothers. That's it, man. I tell you, and we know that time was a little bit different. So
No doubt.
And I was the ace.
Ace, that's it. Man, this is good, man. This is good. So, Brother Hemingway, you good, man? How things in Springfield, Illinois?
Man, I'm good, bro. Things are great in Springfield, man. Working on a lot of summer stuff, man. Stuff to get ones acclimated, hopefully on the other side of COVID-19. Got some summer projects coming up, man, doing some planning and just really doing some things. Had a phenomenal week this past week at work. Ace 2 audits at work. Obviously the team's doing what they needed to do. So we, did what we needed to do and, surpassed everything in that. So it was good, man. Then even chiming back with some of the bros, man, on that, on the eating habits, man. It's just that urge for me when instead of getting 3 plates, I'll cut it down to 1. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I salute all the bros on here, man, with moving and where we at on today, man. The first day of this marvelous May.
That's it.
On that note, actually, May is National Physical Fitness and Sports Month.
Right. There it is.
Okay.
There you go, May 1st. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I knew that. That's why. That's why I started some months ago to get prepared.
Well, brothers, man, we're getting ready to jump into this conversation. Last time, some individuals want to know more about the individual organization. So we decided to showcase just for a couple minutes each of the organizations that's represented. We know that we don't have our brothers from Kappa Alpha Psi who was unable to join us this week. And then we also don't have our brothers from Omega Psi Phi who was unable to join us this week. But we do have two of the Divine Nine, the main organization for the Divine Nine that's going to talk about their male youth organization. So we're going to start with the men of Alpha Phi Alpha. So, and we're gonna invite the brothers to go ahead and share with us, you know, what's going on. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, Alpha Phi Alpha and your organization and how it benefits African American men. I'm going to share the screen here. Should be able to see it, right? Got it up, brothers. So talk to us a little bit about the Alpha Mentoring Program and some of the tenets and things like that. Educate the people, those who may have questions, and also talk about contact. How can a person get in contact with you
All right. Well, I'll tell you this about as
Brother
far as,
Aaron, go ahead.
oh, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as the Alpha Mentoring Program, man, here's what happens. Just to kind of give a synopsis, because I'm gonna have Brother Morrison jump in, of course. But it's really the basis of it is what we do is we mentor youth from the ages of 6 all the way to 18, right? And as I touched on a little bit before, even after they're done with the program, many of them still come around, right? Even afterwards. So what happens is 2 Saturdays out of the month, generally the second and fourth, what we do is it's really a tier of 3 things. We learn, we work, and we play. So we start off in the morning having what we call man talk, right? Where what we'll do is we'll as a group we'll read scriptures from the Bible. Now we're not forcing any particular religion on anyone, but we just use that for guidance, you know, to tie into real life situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what we do is we'll have an event at the fraternity house, and we do like a variety of things, man. We've done STEM programs. We've taken trips to like the Monsanto lab, urban gardening. You have young men even learning how to work on mechanics. So that's always the educational piece, right? And it's limited. Just those are just a few of the things that I named. But what we do is the purpose of that is because we want to make sure that we cover so many different aspects of life and just different experiences and trades and things in general, because we know our young men and just in general, you know, their minds are always soaking up things, right? And so we never want to box it into one particular aspect. And so that's why, because we know some may say, oh, this may be something that I may want to do, whether it's working on cars or whether it's, you know, doing public speaking and things like that. But then also, I see where you scrolled here for this portion here. Something else that we do with our young men is their escorts for the Little Miss Fashionetta pageant, right? Which of course is something that's done by Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And so these young men are learning those social skills and how to interact with the young ladies at an early age, you know. So that's the thing. But Brother Keen, I'm gonna let you jump in because I can go all day.
No, you hit it on the head. And so our vision is to provide as many real life experiences as possible so that when you ask one of our young men, what is it that they want to be when they grow up? Our young men have factual experiences that they can look back on and say, well, I remember when we toured General Motors plant and met all these Black engineers about how to build cars. Or, you know, I remember when we went to biomedical lab and we performed science experiments at the university. And, you know, so, or they can say, I remember when we went to, was part of the Black Association, the National Association of Black Accountants, and spent a weekend in finance or in banking. And so our young men, it's very non-traditional because we live outside of their comfort zone. And with that, what happens is they start to get a dose of the real world and start to recognize how they show up in the world, because again, we're 6 through 18. And so when they recognize children getting on their nerves or doing things that bother them, and then they hear themselves saying to the other young men that we mentor the same words that their parents say to them, it's a personal self-check, and that switch goes off and says, wait a minute, I don't want to be seen in that light in this world. And so they begin to take personal responsibility in their maturity and growth because of all the experiences, because they're surrounded by Black men, because again, like we said last month, we are changing the narrative of what a Black man looks like in the lives of our children. And I mean, we take great pride in that.
That's it, man. That, you know, and that's what's critical, you know, that we have these conversations and really begin to discuss and talk about, you know, the organizations. Real quick, brothers, how can someone, who should they reach out to? How can they get connected if you have a mother or a family or a grandmother or an uncle, whoever is looking to get their child connected with your mentoring organization with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated?
So generally, there are a couple of ways that it could be done, right? So because we partner, the Alpha Mentoring Program partners with the Village organization, the final Thursday of every month, starting at 7 o'clock, we always have an informational. So all the questions that people may have, we'll present to them, you know, give them a history of the organization, and we'll talk about the things that we do, some of the mechanics of it. And then of course we set aside time for them to have any additional questions. So that's one way, because if they follow the Village page, they'll see the link will be sent out where parents can register. Another way is they can actually go directly to the website on the Alpha Phi Alpha Epsilon Lambda chapter page and shoot an email directly, because I've gotten requests from parents in both mediums where they'll either email the chapter directly or they'll go to the Village page and attend those meetings.
Okay, and just so you know, we did post the link inside of the chat, and so we'll also post the link. We'll make sure that the link get connected to our website so individuals can reach out that way too. You know?
And one more thing, I want to add in there real quick, brother.
I think Brother Morrison.
We're grassroots, and we're 100% volunteer army. So Village 314. Okay, can we?
Yeah, your bandwidth was a little bit unstable for a second there.
Okay.
Okay, now
so,
you're good.
Okay, I wanted to add in that, you know, we are a volunteer army, 100% volunteer, non-for-profit. And so we're grassroots. So you can send an email to thevillage314.com, or you can give me a call, 314-280-8876. And we can, and you know, you can also get in contact with Brother Willis. You can and just shoot us, just reach out to us, you know, whether you want to be a mentor, mentee, a volunteer. You know, we're no respecter of a person. We have Black men who are not a part of the fraternity who are also mentoring. When Aaron began mentoring, you know, he was just a gentleman who just had a heart for the people. And then he learned and realized what the brotherhood was all about, you know, which is, again, the whole purpose, to bring Black men together. So don't feel like you have to be an alpha to serve the people. Come if you have the heart.
That's it, man. And I think we'll hear that, you know, I think we're going to hear that conversation, because we understanding that it's critical that we get involved as Black men, as men in the community. We have to get involved to be able to impact someone, to be able to give back, right? And so we're going to post that contact information. We're going to make sure that it's in there. Individuals can reach out at awillis@thevillage314.com, and we'll get that number also posted in there, right? Brother Willis, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say also they can call at 314-325-2647. They can call me directly as well.
Right. There you have it. So, man, we're gonna move on, And we're going to talk about, and I'm going to invite our brother Larry Hemingway Sr. to join us in this conversation, because he's going to talk about this one of the Sigma Beta chapters, right, or clubs that's a part of the Springfield chapter, the Eta Psi Sigma chapter. And so I'm going to bring up and share my screen and have Brother Hemingway talk a little bit about what's going on up there and with our brothers up there in Springfield.
Good stuff. And phenomenal things going on with the Sigma Beta clubs in Springfield. As a director, we focus on those 5 principles that you're looking at. You know, culture, athletics, social needs, and then educational needs. And all of that really ties back into building the boys. The men of the organization mentor the boys from ages 8 all the way through 18. Before COVID, I should say, doing volunteer opportunities out in the communities, really focusing on what the boys represent in their motto. And their motto for the Sigma Beta clubs is they're the next generation of leaders, accepting responsibility and loving the challenge. And so if you can think of the motto, think about how it ties into a young male to grow and to progress in life, dealing with generations, where they're at, whether they're 8 years old, 10 years old, or even 18 years old, passing down the next generation, being a conduit to move up to another area and being mentored by men. And then responsibility. One of the things, and I shared it a couple of weeks ago, one of my mantras is being a male is a matter of gender, but being a man is a matter of responsibility. I'm gonna pause, rewind, say it again. Being a male is a matter of gender, but being a man is a matter of responsibility. And so we dedicate that responsibility with these young men. And then the last thing, you think about challenges. All of us on the line right now, we face challenges throughout our entire lives, whether we're young, in our 20s, 30s, some in their 60s, and even beyond, we face challenges throughout our life. And so from a positive Black men, it's for us to share some of those challenges with our boys, man, to let them know, hey, making a mistake is not it doesn't end there. Accept that responsibility, accept that call to move forward in life. And so, man, we're excited about what we're doing, man, with the brothers. And I'll turn it over to Brother Wilson to share a little bit more.
Brother Wilson, go ahead and join this conversation. And so we got Brother Gregory Wilson, who is he's the coordinator and the administrator for the Sigma Beta Club that's in the St. Louis area, right? And so because it all falls under one umbrella, but we have chapters all throughout, and just about every chapter in Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated has is because it's one of our national initiatives, right? And so brother, give me 1 second, Brother Wilson, go ahead and join us, man, in this conversation while I bring up the website.
Good morning, everybody. As Brother Hemingway already alluded to, we talked about our national motto, but here in St. Louis, we decided to bring it home, and we needed to have our own mission statement that we went through. And I'm gonna say it like he did. Ours is a gateway for future leaders, strengthening our communities. Now, if you look at that, we want to be the conduit for our future leaders. These young minds, we want to be that conduit for them to go through. And of course, we're the gateway city, so we want to be that gateway for them to expound on some of the things that they know, to open their minds or afford them the opportunities to experience some things that they've never experienced. And in that essence, while we're doing that, we want to strengthen our communities. One of the things we want to do is get the Black male back into our communities. To me, it's blighted to where our young men are misguided. We want them to stand up and become the leaders that they are within our community, to lead the change within our community. So we focus on education. Just a side note, right now, the Kappa Sigma chapter, we have our scholarship for graduating seniors. Please go onto the website also that's there and apply for that scholarship. We talk about social action. We get them involved with Black Wall Street and all the other aspects of social action. Bigger and better business. We talk about Black spin and helping them with Black spin and understanding how your dollars affect the community that you're in. And of course, we talk about health and wellness. And so those are all the initiatives that we look at as we're there. And we're a growing organization. The easiest way to get in contact with us is if you go to our website, you could go down to the bottom, type in your information, and it gets sent directly to my email box, and I will respond to you within a day or so. And I say, even after this, the last podcast, I think that those families that have reached out, we've had several applicants come in and asking more information about it. And I hope that it's going, the same thing has happened for all the organizations. We as the Divine Nine need to come together so that we can build our communities the way we're supposed to.
Love it. Love it.
Brother Rice, you muted if you
There we go. But I didn't want to interrupt because of the way I had the screen set up. But and man, I'm telling you, this is critical, man, that we have this conversation. I love something that Brother Wilson just said. It's critical that the Divine Nine, that we come together. And I see that happening all throughout the country. We're seeing more support. If it wasn't for this support, we wouldn't have some impact that we're having, like we have Vice President Kamala Harris, who is in the White House, because I believe that the Divine Nine got together. We came together, we said, man, let's make this change. She's a part of the Divine Nine, and so it's critical. We're also seeing change all throughout. I believe in the St. Louis region, we have a new mayor, the first African-American female mayor that's in the city. And so, man, and I think that that's a part of the Divine Nine movement. And we have other agencies and organizations that's starting to say that there's unity when we come together, man, and how critical that is. And so, man, this is important. Real quick, Brother Hemingway, I think you didn't share with us, how does someone who's in the Springfield, Illinois area, because around there you got Decatur, and I know they have a new grad chapter, but they have Decatur, you got Jacksonville, you have all these other communities that surround Springfield, which is the capital of Illinois. How does someone get in contact with you all in order to get their young man involved with Sigma Beta in that region?
Yeah, beautiful question. And so they could go to our website, click on it, and that information will come directly to me for locals. Now, if it's national, you could do one of two things. The message that comes to me, I can forward anywhere in the country. I can forward it to our national program, since I am a board member of our National Sigma Beta Club throughout the country. So it's a beautiful thing. If you go to the Springfield chapter and send it, that information will come again directly to me, springfieldsigmas.com. But nationally, one can go to sigmaBetaClub.org, and the information will get disseminated across the country. But if you do Springfield on a local level, again, that information will come to me as the director, and I'll be able to forward it anywhere in the country, since I am a board member on the national board.
Good deal. So, brothers, we're going to shift this a little bit, and I want to have a critical conversation this morning. We still got about another 45 minutes or so. I want to have a critical conversation over some very important areas when it comes to mentoring our young men. And so the first area we want to look at is dealing with education. So you all know that this platform is about educating first, entertaining as a result maybe of the education, but we really want to have an impact in the community from a Black male perspective. One of the things that we say is our motto is my manhood, my mission, right? And so when we're looking at no more hiding in this space, it's important that we understand that this manhood that we've been blessed with is a mission. We have a purpose. We have a reason for existing. We have a reason for being placed wherever we were placed, wherever we were born, whatever period we're in. And so, man, education is one of the most critical areas that our young men are dealing with. So I'm going to invite our guest speaker, who's going to share just a couple thoughts. And his platform, although this is in the 80s, the late 80s, his platform is still timeless. So I'm going to invite Dr. Jawanza Kanzufu. Somebody's like, he's here, he's here. No, he's not here really, but his recording is here. We got, so man, Kawanza is going to be on the, no, we getting there. We're going to have him one day, but today we're going to share one of his a portion of his video. So if you would, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk, our first section that we'll talk about today is going to deal with, is going to look at education, the impact of education. So yes.
On the fourth grade syndrome, studies show that Black boys may be the best students in the country up until the fourth grade. So we wanted to find out what your son, a male student, was doing at the beginning of the third grade, then at the end of the seventh grade, and then measure the progress. Let me give you 3 examples. We had a little boy 5 years ago on the Alva reading test score at the 98th percentile in the country. In other words, a walking genius. That means only 2% male, female, white, or black had a higher score than he at the beginning of the third grade. At the end of 7th grade, the same boy now drops down to the 35th percentile. Engineer potential here, pimp or pusher now, scores should have improved 5 years, instead they only improved 1.3. 2 more examples. We had a little boy at the 92nd percentile. He dropped down to the 24th percentile, and his scores only improved 2.1. But let me give you the average example. We had a little boy at the 63rd percentile. He dropped down to the 4th percentile, and his score didn't improve a year, a month, a week, not even a day. There are 3 critical stages in Black boys' development: infancy to 9, 9 to 13, and 13 to 18. You see, it's easy to see the negative behavior here when he's already dropped out, laid up on some street corner lacking direction. It's more difficult to see it around 9 years of age, when they begin to sit further in the back of the class, when they begin to ask less questions, when their ball becomes more important than their book, when they begin to cheat on their tests. We appeal to you to turn your sons and male students on early. Teach them how to read early. Teach them the beauty of being Black and believing in God early. But many of us have waited, and we waited almost too late to develop Black boys to be men. You know what I'm getting at. America spends $2,300 on Head Start. They spend $38,000 on prison. If Reagan wanted to balance the budget, I can show you save about $36,000 per person. It's much easier to educate than it is to incarcerate. Now you raise the questions. How long do you stay in Head Start? Year? 2 years is the most? How long do you stay in prison? The rest of your life? Question number 1. Question number 2, does Head Start work? A 19-year study documents that Head Start works, but in prison, 85% of the inmates that get released go right back in. But as Jesse Jackson says, we have 2 choices. We can either send me to Penn State or to State Penn. It's your choice. We have got to find ways to intervene. Now, we have a whole workshop just on the 4th grade syndrome. I now want to ask you, what are some of the reasons you feel to explain why Black students, especially Black boys, were doing so well K through 3, and now scores declining in the intermediate and upper grades? What explains it? Yes.
I think the learning style change.
So there we have it, man. We have a question on the table that's here. What's your thoughts? Why do you think our young Black males struggle with education?
I'm gonna throw out there, first off, I think some of us, they don't know how to relate to some of us Black males. It could be our energy, the way we move, the way we talk. I mean, I'm a little old school, so swag is my word, but maybe their swag, the hairstyle, whatever it is, and they just feel like they can't relate to them, especially when it comes to non-Black teachers, that they look at this kid now as he's cute when he's younger, and then when he gets older, he talks different, dresses a little different, and they just can't relate to him. So then they project their biases, which is conscious or unconscious or conscious. I think that impacts how they interact with the kids. And I'll even say for my son, for example, there's one class that he doesn't get called to read a whole lot. And he comes home, he's like, Dad, I didn't read today. I didn't read this week. I didn't read for the past 2 weeks. I didn't get called. And it's like, why is that? My son's a straight A student, but teachers start having their favorites. And a lot of kids, and if it's like a multicultural setting, they are pushed to the back. So then you have this kid that's going to be less interested in reading because, hey, I'm prepared, but I never get called.
Man.
Well, to piggyback on what he just said, statistically, there've been numerous reports. I'm a K through 12 certified counselor, And so I've seen some things within the school system, and I'm a former principal. And one of the things that I seen in those areas where you have more than 50% of the student population that's African American is that they don't have all the certified teachers there. Granted, you do have certifications, but they will fill the other positions with those that are not necessarily not certified, but not certified in that subject area. Just having someone to be there. And then the teachers that are there or the staff that are there, they're not equipped to as he said, they don't know how to connect. Even if they are certified, they don't know how to connect to our Black males. And so that's an extreme problem. And I'll share a firsthand thing. At that age that he talked about, one of the things that you find is that Black males will get bored, especially those that are gifted. Firsthand experience, they wanted to give my son, who's a straight A student, been a straight A student all through school, they wanted to try to push him into the special education department because one of the things that they said that he could not focus. He was not having the focus. But what they failed to look at is the same symptoms that you have for those that have a hard time focusing are the same symptoms and the same traits that you see of those that are gifted. The only difference is a behavior matrix that needs to be done. My son was bored. When they challenged him, and that's what's not happening when they're not challenging their minds, then they succumb to acting out and everything else. And so once they started challenging them, things changed. And I can say, today, I'm very proud of my son, because right now he's getting ready to walk across stage May 28th, and he has 2 years of college behind him already.
Yes.
Because
he
and my youngest child, they tried to do the same thing too. And I'm not talking about from experience, and I'm talking about from experience. Right now, will be a junior coming up, and he's already completed all of his graduation requirements. So he'll be in the same situation. Now, the problem that we have is the parents are, in this case, I was educated to know what to look for and how to intervene. And the problem that we have in some of our communities, we don't have anybody that understands what to look for and how to intervene. And it's a different intervention when you have an educated Black male come in and say, this is how it should be. And I don't take away from my mothers, they can do those things, but the impact of on a Black male, seeing another Black male come in and say, I'm standing up for what I need for you, it's totally different. The impact is different than when mom does it.
Yeah, man. Good stuff, man. This is critical.
100%. I think very good points are made, and I just draw from my own experience, from what Brother Wilson was talking about, which is the fact that, and I shared the story about my son. His logic, it measured off the chart, right? He's in the top, right? But there was this push. We gotta get him on an IUP because he's not reading at a certain level, and it's amazing the makeup of the room and the meeting that we had. And it dawned on me as a Black man. I say, Gavin plays a lot of video games. Is it possible that he can't see? And it started, just that conversation where I talked to his mom, and I'm like, we probably need to have his eyes checked. Well, that's part of the problem. We had to go get him some glasses, so he can't see the board from where he sits. So yeah, we want to give him priority seating, but we also need to make sure that he can see. And that's a situation. It's like I had to get him the help so that we can get him where he needs to be. But at the same time, I think it was just this relatability issue. And this is about about the fourth grade when we had to have this conversation. He's in sixth grade now. So, it's like, hey, we really need to think about this. I mean, it could be something just that simple. If he's not participating like he was, maybe there's a change physically that we need to consider. And I did ask a question, where does he sit? Where is he located? Why don't we try to get him closer? And then we're going to see if we can get him some glasses. And it's just, I think, what I mean? Those points are just spot on from my experience. And it was just seeing, they didn't know how to take me in this meeting, right? It's like, whoa, wait a minute. And I can notice sometimes they were talking to my ex-wife versus talking to me. And I'm like, no, we're going to insert me in the conversation over here.
And one of the things that I and maybe it's the culture of the schools. One of the things that you tend to find, they're starting to get better now. Now it's saying to the parent, they used to just send everything pertaining to school to my wife. And I showed up at a parent teachers conference. I said, wait a minute, they have a father, an active father. And what I did within that group, those young men that had their fathers, whether they lived in the household or not, I encouraged them to come out, and we showed up in droves. When we showed up in droves, we stood there and said, wait a minute, you can't just treat our Black boys this way. Our young men deserve better. You can't push them to the side. And so I had to be assertive in the education of my child. And that's not necessarily happening sometimes. And you're right. The school system didn't know how to take us, but then they respected where I was coming from, because not only was I speaking from a parental perspective, I was also speaking from an educator's perspective, because I held the same credentials or more credentials than they did.
You know what? I'm listening to you, brother, speak, thinking about what Dr. Kwanzaa Kunjufu said, and knowing that, as you said, it's not a coincidence, because it's not like just a handful of young Black males are going through this. And so I think it takes me back to when I was young, and it takes me back to even thinking about a question I raised myself. Okay, how uncommon is it to criminalize young Black males? So I think about Malcolm X's story when he talked about how he wanted to be an attorney. I think about how George Stinney was criminalized for something that we know he didn't do and got lynched for, or executed. And so I think that also, and as you said, Brother Wilson, and thinking about you too, Patrick, being involved, because a lot of times I think that the confidence there's a drive to strip that confidence away. And if you all aren't involved, then guess what? They're gonna keep trying to do that. Not in all cases, but you have those individuals that work in the field that will do so. But the other challenging part of that is, of course, we're caught under economic pressure. So some of us may have reasons of not being able to beat her. So it's just this sad, endless cycle. I think that it all contributes to the issues. But definitely, I'll say this, and I don't want to go too deep, but it just has so many thoughts in my head.
Take us there, man.
I've never heard of them talking about, due to low numbers, we had to close down prisons. However, in schools, a lot of times, because they're being siphoned out through funding or whatever else is going on, there's closures going on. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't heard of too many low enrollment prisons having to be closed.
No. When you look into what Dr. Kunjufu said was like the tracking, they can track from 4th grade on how many prisons they need to build.
Yeah.
So they're already funding for that. They already know in 20 years how many people are headed toward incarceration versus where the money should go towards the early school stuff that he talked about. So that's where it starts. They already know how many prisons to build and where the prisons at. In them poor little neighborhoods that they're bringing in, they're helping that community out. I can think of like Pontiac Prison. It's in a small town. That's where they're sending people at. So they making money off the prisoners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we think about this, man, we think about the issue that we're dealing with. There were several things that was brought up just in this conversation alone. One of the things is I got to thinking about the number of my children, when they went to school initially, they were primarily in an urban school, right, in the St. Louis area. I won't name any names, but in that school, there were a lot of educators and they cared, but there were very few men, right? Very few men. And there was only one African-American man that was in that school as an educator. Now, there was some men, African American men who were the janitors, things of that role, but no educator that was in the classroom, right? And then when we transitioned, when I moved and moved to another region in the St. Louis area where it was primarily white, right? And I looked at the school system, everything from the head, meaning the principal, all the way through. There was a white male educator, right, on every level.
Mm-hmm.
There was a presence of a man in that school, right? That and not just one, but several, in leadership roles, and not just coaching and janitorial things like that. And so I started to see the influence or the impact of having the voice of a man in their system, and having someone who is there, that was present, that would interact or what have you with the students, and how critical that was, man, and how critical it is to be a part of. One of the other things that was brought up, I think Brother Willis brought up, was the struggle we have with the socioeconomics and the generational wealth, and how our focus to just to make it from day to day. We can't think about 4 or 5 years down. We're just trying to pay the bill and eat today, and many times in our communities, and how that becomes a competing value, right? Now, I've seen parents sacrifice for other things. I've seen them sacrifice for clothes, right? I've seen them sacrifice even to pay a lot of money for that young man to be a part of a sporting team, because some of these teams, if you go to the more credible teams, if so to speak, that'll get them scholarships to your Ivy League high schools and things like that, you're gonna pay, right? It's $1,300 a season. That's just minimum, right? Because I had a grandson that we were putting him in. But when it comes to investing in academics, when it comes to investing in tutoring, when it comes to investing in counseling to help deal with maybe some trauma that may have happened within the home that's impeding that young man, and I'm going to say that child, from being able to focus and things like that, we don't see the same support. We don't see the same initiative being taken. And why is that?
I'll jump in, man. Why is that? As it ties back into the educational piece, Dr. Kunjufu made many valids on a wheel of many things that tie into education. I think Brother Bird said it earlier on the relationship aspect. How could ones relate? So that's one wheel, right? One of the other brothers said, not for young men not being bored. That's another wheel within the whole scope of things. And so if we collectively look at it, I think it really ties back into us positive Black men being integrated into these young males' lives. And I say that because everyone didn't come up with 2 parents in the household, right? That's where community comes in. Us positive Black men come in to mentor with all of us on here, mentoring young men for ones that don't have a positive Black man in their lives right away. And so I think, I'll leave it out there. I think it really ties back into our ability to really just be intentional on how the young male sees us that want to be that conduit of breath in their lives. And so it starts off small in some communities, because the larger populated areas might not have a lot of positive Black men to be able to integrate in their lives. So you get different ones come from out of town to field trips or what have you, and you might see them at a mall or somewhere, and they're like, man, I see different ones on television, but I need someone I can reach out and be able to touch to help me lead through. So there's a lot of components in it.
You're right. Because I grew up in East St. Louis, so it was K through 6th grade. So there was a Black principal. I think the vice principal was Black, and the 6th grade teacher was Black. So we had the good Black experience. There was the teachers you can touch more than just a janitor. I went to predominantly white middle school and high school. The next Black person I saw like in that role was my wrestling coach. He was a assistant wrestling coach. So other than that, so who am I relating to? Luckily, I have my dad in the household that's where I got it from, and that foundation was built. But in high school, I had no Black teachers that I can think of. None, not female or male. So I think that also leads into kind of relating and even just teaching style. They have to be able to adjust their teaching style to engage everybody in the same teaching style that people get bored with.
Yeah, and I think another point is it can't be confined just to the educational system, and I say this because the community plays a role in self-identity. So I'm dealing with a situation, that just came out of a mention, and so just for context, I work in employee relations, and you wouldn't think that we would think about this, but organizations have to become sometimes good corporate partners, and I'm glad that I'm in position to kind of help facilitate this. But in one of the cities that we're operating, there has been some community distrust that has developed as a result of maybe some profiling, right? And so I get the opportunity. Now, it didn't happen with us, but we're coming into the market. So that the idea is, what can we do as a corporate partner to help make sure that we're not contributing to that? And it involves some middle schoolers and high schoolers, right? Where some of them do stupid stuff. They come in and steal. I worked at I had a store next to the high school when I was in the stores where the police referred to our store as the name and steal, right? That was because they would come over, and it's just like, how do we prevent situations like that? Because those are experiences that are going to happen outside of that are going to impact their experience. And so that's why I think these mentoring programs are so important, because it gives a broader reach than just through the education. No, education is important. The best thing I heard from a counselor was that we are just the sum of our experiences and emotions. And what we experience and what we feel is really going to shape what the outcome is going to be. And if I am in a community where people see me as a thug or a thief, I might not be, but that's going to impact me in some way, shape, or form. And then you couple that with, being bored in school and nobody cares, and nobody's standing up for me. Eventually, I'm gonna start making some bad decisions. So I think that having that presence, and someone said that it's important to see Black men, and to your point, Dr. Rice, Black men at every level, hopefully in administration, because it gives us a sense of identity and say, hey, I can be that. It's amazing to see how many young Black brothers gravitated to me because I look just like them. So I love my job because I can dress how I want, and sometimes I look just like them, and I'm able to connect. And some of them would come to me and be like, man, I want to do what you do. Now, they don't necessarily know how to do that, but you know what I mean? It was good to see. But these are older men. But imagine if they're seeing that in the schools, and not, like you said, just janitors and bus drivers or whatnot. They're able to see administrators and counselors like Dr. Wilson and all of that was in the schools. I mean, that's important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, brothers, man. This has been a good conversation. This portion, I want to shift just a little bit because we're getting close to our time. But I want to talk about a controversial topic, and we kind of started it last time, and just the impact of the Black man on a young Black man versus the idea of a single Black mother, right? So let's pull in Brother Dr. Kazumfu, who's going to join us again and share his thoughts.
Men can make boys men. Now don't misquote me. I didn't say that a single female parent or female teacher cannot rear or educate her child, but she need not do that by herself. What she calls upon her father, her brother, an uncle, a male neighbor, a nephew, a co-worker. There needs to be some men in our children's lives. I want you to explain to me how a boy is going to grow up to be a man if he's never seen any. In order to be anything, you must see it first. Remember in the earlier workshop, and I'll go through this very quickly, from the University of Michigan, we wanted to find out what the major influence on children. We said 1950 it was home, school, church, peer group, and television. And then we gave you 1980. Home was still number 1, peer group in the number 2 position, television 3, school dropped down to number 4, church last on the list. Let's go back to my statement. My statement said that only men can make boys men. Now let's see where blind boys are going to find men. Let's first of all look at his home. 62% of all black children live in a single-run household. It's a very good chance he will now find a man here. I'm going to hold off on the streets and drop down to television. Can you name me 5 positive adult black men on television outside the news? And you can't name Cosby because the show just started. Name me 5.
Outside the news?
No.
Outside the news.
Jefferson.
And you better not say George Jefferson. So they find very few black male role models on television. Now let's drop down to the schools. 83% of all elementary school teachers are women. 95% of all teacher aides are women. And when do men teach? After the critical 4th grade, or they're in the upper grade, or they're the PE teacher, the janitor, or the principal. Very few before the 4th grade where black boys need them the most. And lastly, the church. Most young people, men don't go to church. And the reason is we lie to them. First of all, we made Jesus Christ white. The man surely was not white. And we have a book called What Color Was Jesus to explain that. He had hair the texture of wool and feet the color of bronze. But secondly, the Lord's Prayer says on earth as it is in heaven. Young people and men want some action. They want some programs. If there are no programs in your church, they will see you later in heaven. As a result of not finding a man at home, few on television, few in school, and not wishing to attend church, the last place is the streets. And that's the problem.
That is deep.
What you think? What you think?
That is deep.
You know what, man? You know what? The powers that be know good and well everything that we're talking about is true. Because if that was the case, why wouldn't they pick? Why do they pick certain images and they imply, hey, this is the guy you need to follow, or this is the guy you need to be? See, I know what you heard sounded offensive coming from us, but here we found a guy that looks like you that agrees with the same thing. So they know this, man. And so that's why I say, I mean, it really goes without saying, because if it wasn't true, then they wouldn't be trying to find some carbon copy of some traitor to lead us in the opposite direction. I'm trying not to go too far on this thing here.
I feel you. I got you.
That just really instilled some feelings in me, man. So
what's interesting is how relevant that discussion is today. Now the numbers might be different slightly, but it's still as relevant today as it was when he said it, which is interesting and sad all at the same time.
Yeah, and honestly, that's when our mentor program kind of started in the 90s, and it's no longer active just because had kids, more kids, busy. I got to raise my own kids before I raise anybody else's kids, so that was kind of the reason why I kind of broke down. But that's why I started, because these kids had no positive male role models, and they couldn't relate to them. So we had guys that were in law enforcement. My cousin was an attorney, and then we had some guys that were like barbers and other stuff, because not every kid's gonna go to college. So let's put him towards somebody else. But they have to see it, to touch it, to believe it, to understand it. Because at one point in time, my brother, he's a truck driver, he's an owner-operator. He's making more money than I was with a master's degree, because that's what he wanted to do. And he understood the trade. He understood I can work for this company or I can be an owner-operator. Now I make 60% that's on my truck versus they pay me per mileage. So some kids not going to college. Hey man, this is how you run this game here. Barbershop. Hey, this my man here, barber. He runs the whole shop. This person charges so much per chair. He can work if he wants to or not. And so it's important for us to impart that into our kids, because if they can't touch us and relate to us, where are they going to go? Like you said, their peers. And their peers don't know. They don't know what's going on. Because I can throw out when I found I was going to be a dad at 19 years old. I remember telling my roommate, and he was like, man, you're going to be a dad. We had nobody to talk to. So your peers don't know a whole lot. So when you have no positive black male role model, then your peers look good. The gang member look good. The drug seller look good. Whatever it is, and oh man, they making money, but it's good money and it's bad money. So they need those positive male role models to learn from our mistakes, or if they make a mistake, we can walk them through getting out of that mistake.
And what you said is so true, man, because it just made me think about something else. Let's just say you are age 16, 17, trying to find your way in this world, but it's just you. You're the older brother, so you're the man in the house. Guess who's going to watch you and follow up behind? Baby brother. And I'm saying this from personal experience. Like, whatever my older brother did, I tried to do, because that was the thing. It was me. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying my father wasn't in my life. He didn't live with us, one of the situations. So whatever older brother do, man, it's like, that's the challenge, because if he's struggling with trying to find his guidance or learning his way himself, then that just kind of perpetuates a cycle. Not in all cases, but you know what I'm saying. So it's like having that black man in the house instilling the righteous thing older brother becomes a reinforcement to baby brother or whoever on those things, So it definitely has its aspects on multiple ends, because if he's not there, older brother got to find his way. And hopefully he's doing something that baby brother was following in the right path. But again, that's a systemic issue that we're dealing with right about now, even to this day in 2021.
Yeah. So let me ask a question. I'm gonna throw a question out here. What's the impact of having or not having your fathers in your lives? And this is personal. So I'm moving a little bit personal so the audience can hear from you from a personal side.
I'll jump out first. If I didn't have a dad, I think I would have been in a gang at some point in time. Because in the 80s in East St. Louis, you had your GDs and your Vice Lords. The color blue looked good, tilting your hat. I thought those images was cool. So I feel like I might have gravitated a little bit towards the gangs, just being honest, because it looked cool. Your peers was trying to dress that way. Just the whole image is what you thought it was about. Not that they was getting in trouble, not going to school, whatever. It just seemed cool. And at that time, being cool was kind of the thing, whatever it was, whether it was sports, whatever. But I thought that was cool until my dad was like, so without a dad, I think that's what the path I would have went at some point in time.
And I would say without a dad in my life, consistently, kind of like giving, being on the track, right, and giving everybody a 40-meter head start, and trying to work on the technique, because if we run in a 100-meter sprint, that's a short race, and you can win or lose the race in the first 40 meters, what my coach always used to say. And it's all about technique. And so at 40, I've had to learn the hard way technique in order for me to be able to understand what does it mean to be a man. And for a minute, I was married, I was in relationships, I have children, and there's so much that I didn't know during that time that I feel like having the right guidance and leadership structure. And like I said, I was around some good dudes, but there was still a part missing. And so I think, again, to me, it's like either giving everybody a 40-meter head start or being 40 meters too late out the blocks, right? So, it's a lot to catch up. And so I've been spending the latter part of the years trying to catch up and really develop how to be that man that influences and impacts. So, like I say, conversations like this are huge, because I'm taking in, what can I do? What more can I do? Other than just being a father. I mean, there are other people out there that need that, that could benefit, but that's kind of my experience.
Well, I'll say, not knowing my biological father and being adopted was a saving grace for me. Growing up being born on the east side of Detroit and not having that that strong male figure in my life, honestly, I don't think I would be on this Zoom call with you right now having the conversation. I'd either be somewhere dead, or I'm being honest, dead or in prison somewhere. But but it taught me a couple of things with the adoption process. It taught me what I did not want to be. It showed me what I could be. But even with my adopted father, that's the only father I knew. Like I said in the last segment, he says, I raised you to be a man, but you taught me what it was to be a man. And he knew the groundwork, but he didn't spend the quality time was not there. Because prior to my father's transitioning, he said the one thing that he regretted being a father was that he didn't tell me that he loved me like he should. And that resonated deep with me. And so as I look at this, and as we're having this conversation, I think back on what I was told by relatives and other people, that in our own way, we have that crab mentality. We try to pull people back down instead of elevating or lifting and letting us stand on the shoulders to get somewhere. I was told that I would never be anything, which forced me to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think that a young Black man should have to be forced to prove everybody wrong. He should be encouraged to be the best that he can be and open up his potential. So like a lot of you, I probably would have been in a gang. I probably would have been dead or in prison. But that transition helped me.
And I know that if that was a situation and my father was never around, I know that again, whatever Big Brother did, wrong or right, probably more so wrong, I'd have followed that. I know I'd be real angry, and no matter what the truth of the situation really was, whatever moms would have told me, I would have believed it. So had there been a situation where I saw him later in life, I'd have been angry at him because I'm already indoctrinated by what Mom Dukes told me, and then of course I look around, see everybody else like talking about they going here with their dad, and I notice something's missing. I'm like, well, dang, I didn't just get here by one person. Where's dad at? So I know internally that something's missing, which will add to more frustration. And I don't feel like I'm just speaking for me, but I'm just speaking. I know that those are thoughts that were going in my head.
Right.
So you imagine what others may feel, but I know something is missing. And guess what? I'm gonna fill that void one way or another. So.
And I guess I'll put my piece in there, Dr. Rice, man. Good question. Like Brother Wilson, man, grew up me not having father in my life. So I think the identity crisis was more so my focus, right? Am I going to focus on the living environments? Am I going to focus on my mom taking me to church? What does that look like? Do I focus on the education? Not seeing Black men more so in the classroom. Had ones during track, but never in the classroom. So all of those different men that was in my life, more so I was focused on where I was going to be later on in life. My mother left my father at the age of 6. He was in Chicago, and I'm 46 years old. So imagine 40 years not knowing who my father is. And so I think more so for me, from a young area, I wanted to be the father that I did not have. So searching, is that an area that I want to apply to my life? Is that another area that apply to my life? I think that it really made me who I am right now, trying to, on a continual basis, be the father for my children. And it's a daily thing. Last week, fathering is different from fathering here May the 1st, right? So it's a continual thing. I'll just close out to say one of the things that Dr. Kwanja said as it relates to winning and losing is my ability and effort. And so focusing on my ability and effort to really tie back into my purpose in life from here moving forward. And we got some dads that are out there that are not directly involved in their child's life for whatever reason, but continue on a daily basis to know your rights and to get inundated with that child, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, however, God allows you to wake up each morning to be instrumental, if you will. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. And does someone have something to say?
Dr. Rice, if I can add one more thing.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if any other brothers felt this way, but I think of my middle years when I was in my teens and even in my early 20s. I used to have, we talked about the identity crisis that we had. I used to wonder, who am I and why was I not wanted? And so understanding who you are and that you're wanted is an integral part of being a male. But I felt that I was an outcast. I didn't know if I had anybody, but by the grace of God, I understood the adoption process, and it made me understand what I had later on. But it was not until I understood whose I was that I could stand on who I am.
See, that's a whole other topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's good, because what you just said, Brother Wilson, just adds to like some of the trauma that our kids have. Because just for example, say that what happened with you happened, and then your mom says, now you're the man of the household. Now, how do you know how to be the man of the household at a young age? And then your dad's not around. So you're dealing with, I don't feel wanted. There's no male figures around. And then I'm the head of the household. How do you navigate that?
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure too, because again, you got the younger siblings looking to you because that's been conditioned in their head. I'll say this, brothers. Everything we're talking about now just once again just reconfirms and shows the world why what we're doing now is so important as far as time out our lives to be a mentor, representing example to the youth out there. And for those who aren't on this call, I just got to say, man, thank you to everybody who's taking their time out and doing God's work of helping raise our kids, man, and help uplift them in one way or another.
Yeah.
Because a couple of episodes,
man.
Yeah, because a couple of episodes, Brother Chester Dean mentioned that happened to him. His mom was like, now you're the head of the household. I couldn't imagine that at 14 years old, 13 years old.
Man, I'm telling you, man, you brothers, and when I think about my experience, because I would be wrong if I didn't share mine. So I see a combination of a lot of what's been said. I did not know or do not know my biological father, and there's a lot of debris around my origin, right? And so that debris will probably take forever to explain, but a lot of debris around my origin. However, I had my stepdad who's been in my life, right, since I was 2 going on 3, right? Because I know he was there. He was there present when my grandfather, who was tragically killed Christmas Eve, 1973, right? And so in the Wellston area, unsolved crime, the whole 9, but I know he was present. And so that's how I know that he's been in my life, right? Because of that period. But growing up, I actually had a different last name. So I'm the only one with my last name in the house. So when mail come, everybody has one last name, and then my mail is different. And also thinking in my head, you've been in my life since I was 2. Why you ain't just go ahead and adopt me? My little brother and I, we 5 years apart. And so he's 5 years younger than me. And my little brother, unbeknownst to him, he would just, make a joke. He said, well, you are such and such, and I'm a such and such. So we this and you that. And all these little things that go on. I had 2 men in one, because Monday through Friday, my stepdad was one man, but then Friday evening to Sunday morning, he was another man, if you know what I mean, because of alcohol and things like that. But Sunday, when we got home from church, he was back that man if he didn't do too much, and he had dinner going and things like that. And so that was confusing in itself, you know. So when we're looking at that identity crisis, and then also being raised highly in the church and really infused in that space or whatever, all these things, man, just kind of added to one of the things that, well, actually two things, that identity crisis, and then that Brother Wilson talked about, and who am I, wondering who I am and feeling alone, right? That was another space, because I think a lot of men and a lot of young men feel alone, right? Even if we the life of the party, truthfully, internally, we feel alone, right? And I remember having a shirt after I pledged, it was standing alone in a multitude of millions. So I always felt alone no matter who I was around. And then the other thing that Brother Willis talked about was that anger, right? And feeling that anger and that rage. And the brothers know I often compare and look at my former life like the Hulk, right? And the Incredible Hulk, because the Incredible Hulk was actually made, right? He wasn't born, he was made because of the conditions. And one story says the father, and the other story says David Banner's own doing. But whatever the case is, he was made. He's there actually for one reason. He's there to protect David Banner when he's going through a period of trauma, or someone's trying to hurt him. But the problem with the Hulk just destroys stuff when he comes out. He kills everything and destroys everything, and having that internal rage. And so, man, when we grow up, we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to be that different. We're trying to be that different voice, trying to be different for our kids, and don't really have the tools to be able to do it. But we're faking it until we get there, you know. And so that's why it's critical, man, that we have these spaces. We have individuals who can actually come in and really help us, man, and really help, and we can give back. Once we know better, we do better, we share. You know, because I can look on the screen and see that these conversations were not easy to have. I can see that question was a hard one, because now you try to frame it. You're trying to frame it to where it don't seem too bad, but you also want to be true to your experiences, right? Mm-hmm. What if we create this space to where we didn't have to worry about trying to frame it? We could just say it, right? We could just have that conversation. What if we didn't try to teach that young man how to frame it, but give him a safe space to just say it? Just say, what are you feeling? What's going on right now? Because if he don't say it, he's gonna act it. Exactly. Right?
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
No, so man, this has been an awesome conversation. There have been a lot of good comments that was made throughout, you know, and I didn't really bring those in because I didn't want to break up the flow of the conversation or what have you. But this has been a great conversation. No, and as always, man, I try to be respectful of time and things like that. So I'm gonna invite the brothers. If Brother Wilson, talk to us a little bit. Give us a final thought.
Well, if I can give any of our listeners out here any final thought, just like you said, when dealing with our youth, especially our young Black men, give them that safe space that they can open up and talk to you about anything. Let them know it's okay to hurt. Let them know it's okay to cry. Let them know it's okay to sometimes feel alone. But you also encourage them and let them know that you're always going to be there, because that feeling of alone may not be, that's their reality. Their reality is that they're alone, but you have to make yourself available for them. And if we don't start making ourselves available for them, the world or the things out in the streets will make themselves available for them, and we won't get them back. They will be in that pipeline that we don't want them in. But I encourage each and every last one of us, you know, the thing says each one, reach one, teach one. We really have to put some investment in. Don't do it just to say I'm doing something. Don't do it just to say I'm checking this off of my bucket list. You do it from the heartfelt sincerity that I need to make a difference in someone else's life, just like someone made a difference in mine.
Awesome words.
That's
Awesome
bro.
words. Brother Willis, talk to us. Give us a final thought, brother.
I'm gonna give a final thought, brother, again, and I have to reiterate that yes, that question was very it did dig personal, and I speak from that not because again my father was in my life, but because he's been deceased since 2019. So to me, that wasn't that long ago. I feel it of him not being here, so definitely still miss him. Certain conversations I would love to have, so I could just imagine if I was much younger and never had to have any of those conversations at all, how angry I would be then. And so my thing to the youth and to those across, and I'm really talk to the adults as well. First, let me say to the youth, it's okay when you're not feeling okay because that gives someone an opportunity to help you or bring you to a solution of whatever pain you're dealing with. And also understand that it's okay to make mistakes because God ain't finished with none of us yet if we still here on earth. And to the adults, to those who either are or aspire to help make a difference in a young person's life, just make sure you come from a place of love because trust me, one thing about our youth, highly intelligent, they can
Yes.
smell the fakeness and sense it from a mile away. So make sure you come from a place of sincerity and a place of love. And even if you feel pushback, in due time, you will reap the benefits of even just seeing them be able to succeed or grow in one way or another, or at least just knowing that you did a good deed for the day out of kindness of your heart will definitely bring an internal benefit, one way or another. So come with a place of love and sincerity.
That's it, man. And without love, we know that that's critical. That's the critical component that we have to have today. We have to show more love, genuine love, and being able to love someone actually requires taking the time to actually build a relationship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Brother Hemingway, what's going on? Give us a final thought, my brother.
Man, I'm loving the discussion, loving the dialogue. I'll tap into what Brother Willis said, man, on the love from the adult aspect. Let's continue to love each other. For the men that are out there that want to give back, let's celebrate them. You got ones that may not be in their right place and right mind, but when they do something from a positive Black man aspect, celebrate them, even if it's a small celebration. Hey, bro, I appreciate what you did for the young one. Man, continue the good work. I celebrate you, fellow king, and continue that with the young. Let's continue to lift them up in the area of love. We don't know the impact or the seed that was sowed, but we know that it could be a great seed over time. And the last thing, man, tying back into the piece with Jawaza Kanjufu with the fourth grade failure syndrome. Again, being a male is a matter of responsibility, but being a boy is a matter of gender. And you turn it around being with that same thing, being a male is a matter of gender, but being a man is a matter of responsibility. However you do it, make sure that you stay focused on sharing that love impact. That's it.
That's it, man. That's it. And when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I behaved as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish ways.
Put away childish things.
But the only way we could put it away is if somebody teach us what's the difference between being a child and being a man, right? Because sometimes the lines are blurred. That's it, Brother T Bird, talk to us a little bit, man. Give us a final thought.
Hey, first off, I want to congratulate you brothers for what y'all doing. I'm gonna brag about y'all. We're in different fraternities, but we all brothers. We all part of the same divine nine. So I'm gonna brag about y'all. I love what y'all doing. I just want to leave with this, man. I saw this the other day, and it's just the way we talk to people. But this quote says, "Speak in such a way that others love to listen to you. Listen in such a way that others love to speak to you." Let me say it one more time. Speak in such a way that others love to listen to you. And the last part, listen in such a way that others love to speak to you. The role that we have, we listen to these young brothers, we can find out what's going on in their world. It's all about asking them, hey, what's going on? As long as we sit there and listen to them, let them know there's no judgment, we can uplift these young brothers. So I just commend you fellas, man. Just keep up the good work.
That's it, man. Very wise word. We thank Brother Ryan King, man, for joining us today. And just want to throw that out there real quick. Brother T. Patrick, what's on your mind? Give us a final thought.
In the same vein as everyone, and leave with this. My 10th grade English teacher, one of the most positive black men that I had, you know, told me I was going to hell. That's how we bonded, right? But in that he was a pastor, he taught a lesson, but he said that life is a series of choices and consequences, and we must live by the consequences of our chosen. And that was powerful for me at 16 years old. That stuck with me. I say it all the time. I use it in everyday life, teach it to my kids, all of that. I say that because everyone on this podcast has made a choice, you know, not just to sit back and see, but to do and be. And then that's important in society. So the things that you guys are doing, the things that, you know, is just, it is just tremendously important, you know, looking at it from the employer aspect. I've had to reshape how I do human resources and look at socioeconomic impacts of why, and start teaching managers how to deal with some of our employees, because, you know, they don't necessarily understand that certain behaviors and certain actions are as a result of certain experiences and opportunities that weren't there. So I think that, like we choose, everything's a choice, you know, for everyone listening, it's all a choice. You know, for our young men, you know, you can choose to feel, you can choose to speak on that, and you can choose to heal. And all of that's okay. It's all a choice. And so just, you know, I want them to take that away from what they got here, is that it's okay to do those things, connect with people, to be the better you. And for everyone else on here, just, so glad to be connected to you, brothers, and the work that you're doing.
That's it. That's it, man. I, I want to say, this has been one of my favorite podcasts, just the genuineness, the authenticity of the brothers that's here. And I want to let those who are listening in know that No More Hiding, you can find us every first and third Saturday of the month at 9:30. We broadcast on Facebook Live. We're also on YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is No More Hiding for Men. We were on Periscope, but now they're transitioning, I believe, over to Twitter. So we'll be shifting over with them, and then we're in the process of setting up our web page to be able to broadcast on it at the same time. And you'll find us at NMH4men.org. NMH4men.org. The reason for No More Hiding is it creates a safe, authentic space for men to be able to have conversations, to come out of their place of hiding, no matter what the past look like, no matter what their history is, no matter what they've done or didn't do or what have you, bad relationships, it does not matter. They could come out of that space of hiding and actually find the support that's necessary, the support that will help the brothers be able to grow and add to this community of Black men that's present. And so we're looking forward to really having an opportunity to continue to collaborate, to continue to build with the brothers, continue to be able to grow with the brothers. And so at this time, I'm going to ask, I normally do this, but I'm going to ask Brother Wilson if he would join us and give us that final prayer before we end out today.
Sure. Father, how we love you, how we honor you on today, how we thank you for allowing this conversation with men of vision. I read in your word, it says, without a vision, the people perish. We ask right now, oh God, that you gird us up upon all sides as we venture out into this world to show the dying world that you yet live, but yet we are here to support them as we grow in our understanding. We ask, oh God, that whatever words have been said, any type of pains or anything that was unveiled today, that you give us that comfort that surpasses all understanding. We ask right now, oh God, that each and every life that we're going to touch, you go before us. Prepare the ground, prepare the soil, so that when we arrive there, that transition will be well. We ask right now that you touch this world, touch our neighborhoods, touch our surrounding cities. Give them that vision that men can come out and come together, whether you're in the Divine Nine or whether you're just a man that needs to be there on the streets, which you should be, to help mentor our young men. Give them the vision, the heart-filled tenacity to do the things that which you would want us to do to build your child. It's in the precious name of Jesus the Christ that we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen. So once again, until we see you 2 weeks, remember your manhood, your mission.